Okay, so test 4, the last test is coming up on Wednesday. You will have the whole hour Wednesday, and if needed, Thursday to finish up. Otherwise, the hope is if you have it done on Wednesday, I'll have it graded and back to you so that you can do corrections in class on Thursday and get that over with. And there's some extra credit stuff that we'll do on Thursday if almost everybody is done. So anyway, let's take a look at what we have going on here. The first thing we did in this unit was measurement and measurement conversions. So one of the big things, good morning, one of the big things on the test is going to be measurement conversions. So things like you know, 192 inches going into feet. Now again, most of us know how to convert feet and inches, but we'll just look at the process. You turn the measurement into a fraction, so like 192 inches over 1. Then we use a conversion factor. And in our conversion factor, we put inches on bottom, so they'll cancel out. And the unit we're converting to goes on top, so the feet goes on top. And our relationship there is 1 foot equals 12 inches. So the feet do cancel out. 192 times 1 foot is 192 feet. On bottom we have 1 times 12 is 12. And we divide. 192 feet divided by 12 is 16 feet. So we'll have feet, inches, yards and feet, possibly even rods. Remember, 1 rod is 16.5 feet, or 1 rod is 5.5 yards. We'll also have units of capacity. You know, you might have something like 28 quarts equals blank gallons. So again, we're going to set up 28 quarts over 1. Quarts on bottom so that they'll cancel out. Gallons on top. 1 gallon is 4 quarts is our equivalency there. So quarts cancel out. 28 times 1 gallon is 28 gallons. 1 times 4 is 4. 28 gallons divided by 4 is 7 gallons. So 28 quarts is 7 gallons. Or we might have 13 pounds equals how many ounces? Same type of thing. 13 pounds, put it over 1. We're going to put pounds on bottom so they cancel out. Ounces on top. 1 pound is 16 ounces. So the pounds cancel. 13 times 16 is 208 ounces. So that's standard measurement. If we look at metric, remember in our metric system, we've got meters, we've got liters, and we've got grams. Those are our main units. Length, capacity, and mass, technically, or weight. And then we have those prefixes. This is deci, centi, milli. Now we went out to micro, but we'll stop at milli for now. I won't go past milli on the test. To the left, going larger than the main units, we've got deca, which is abbreviated DA, hecto, and kilo. So if I had, 570 centimeters, I want to convert that into meters. On the chart here, centimeters, 2 meters is 2 spots to the left. So my decimal point has to go 2 spots to the left. That'd be 5.7. If I have 0.09 grams, I want to know what that is in milligrams. From grams to milligrams is going 1, 2, 3 spots to the right. So my decimal point has to go 3 spots to the right. So I go 1, 2, to go to the third spot, I have to add a 0. So that is 90 milligrams. Any questions? A little bit trickier is if we had units of area or volume. If I had 9 square yards and I want to convert it into square feet. So my 9 square yards over 1. Square yards are going to go on top or on bottom, so they cancel out. Square feet on top. The square yard is bigger. How many square feet are in a square yard? Well, there's 3 feet in a yard. So square means 3 by 3, right? So that'd be 9. So the square yards cancel out. 9 times 9 feet squared is 81 square feet. Or we might have 2 cubic feet equals how many cubic inches? So 2 cubic feet, 2 feet cubed, we put it over 1. Put cubic feet on bottom, so they'll cancel out. Cubic feet on, or cubic inches on top. 1 cubic foot is how many cubic inches? Well, squared would be 12 by 12. Cubed is 12 by 12 by 12. Careful. 1,728. You were multiplying that. Yeah. So it's 1,728 cubic inches in a cubic foot. So the cubic feet cancel out. 2 times 1,728 is 3,456 cubic inches. So make sure when we're dealing with cubic units you have that. That conversion is different. I might ask you to convert from 44 pounds into kilograms. If you're going into nursing or anything like that, you do this calculation a lot. So 44 pounds over 1. Pounds on bottom, kilograms on top. 1 kilogram is 2.2 pounds. So the pounds cancel out. You got 44 kilograms on top. 44 times 1 kilogram gives us 44 kilograms. On bottom, 1 times 2.2 is 2.2. Gives us 20 kilograms. Or we might have... You can use your books. You might have something like 4.3 meters going into inches. So we take our 4.3 meters over 1. And for the life of me, I just forgot how many 39.37 is the conversion. That's what I was looking for. Meters go on bottom. 1 meter is 39.37 inches. So I've got 4.3 times 39.37. 169.291 inches. So 169.21 or 29 we'll call it. Inches. Or we might have 6 gallons going into liters. Same type of thing. 6 gallons goes over 1. Gallons on bottom, liters on top. 1 gallon is 3.79 liters. So gallons cancel out. Six times 3.79 is 22.74 liters. Are there any questions on measurement conversions? Okay. What if I asked you for the complement of 21 degrees? How would I find a complement? Complements add up to what? 90. So it'd be 90 degrees minus 21 degrees. 69 degrees. If I asked you for the supplement of 127 degrees, what would we do? $180 degrees minus 127. 53 degrees. Any questions on those? Okay. So let's say I have a right angle like that. And I have two parallel lines. These two lines are parallel. If I tell you that this angle right here is 51 degrees, can you tell me this angle and this angle? Well, X here has to be the same as this angle right here. What's that angle have to be? That's a right angle, correct? It's right angle here, it's got to be right angle down here. That means those two are complements. Yeah, 90 minus 51 is going to be 39. So 39 degrees there. So this is 39 degrees. That's 39 degrees. Y has to be what? There you go. 180 minus 39. 141 degrees for Y. Any questions on angles? How would you find X here? Assume that's a right angle. Does that look familiar? C is usually the easiest side to pick out. C is the hypotenuse. Which side here is the hypotenuse? The 26. So A and B are the other two. Does not matter which one is which. So A squared, A is x, so that's going to become x squared, plus B squared, well, B is 10, so that's going to be 10 squared, equals C squared. C is 26, so that'll be 26 squared. X squared doesn't change. 10 squared is 100. 26 squared is 676. Then what do we do? Subtract 100. X squared is 576. And our last step. Bless you. Square root. So x equals 24. So that's going to be 24 feet. So now with that in mind, let's find perimeter and area. If I were trying to find the perimeter of something like this, what do I have to do? I would just add up the sides. 20 plus this side is 17 plus what's next? 20 plus 17. If I add those all up, I get 68 feet. Does that work? Area. Can I do 17 times 20? Say no. No, I can't do it. I could do it, but it's not going to give me the area. Because the area has to be two dimensions that form a right angle. And this is not a right angle here between the 17 and 20. What's that? 17 times 20 would be 340. That wouldn't be the area. Oh, this here? Did I add that wrong?
Yeah, it's 70.
You're right. Wow, I missed that one by quite a ways. Thank you. Yeah, that should be 74. So I have to find this height here. Now, fortunately, I have a right triangle here, so I can do it. If I call that h, I know that 8 squared plus h squared equals 17 squared. Then I just go through the process. 8 squared is 64. H squared is going to be just h squared. 17 squared is 289, right? So I subtract 64. So h squared is 225. Then what? Square root it. So h equals 15. So to find my area, it's 20 times 15. 300 square feet. So again, we're going to find perimeter and area. Let's talk about perimeter here first. So for perimeter, I've got 24 here, plus what's this here? Yeah, this distance here is 8. That would be 8, so that has to be 16. So plus 16 plus, what's this one? 24 again. Plus, then we've got the arc of this circle. How do we find that? Pi times diameter, which would be 16. That would find us the circumference of a full circle, right? So we divide by 2. So that gives us 25.12. So we add 25.12 here. Was that 89.12? Does that come out right? What's that? Yes? 40, 64. Okay, yeah, that looks right. So there's our perimeter. For area, I've got a rectangle here that is 24 by 16, otherwise known as what? $384, you're correct. Then I've got this half circle here. Pi times radius squared. So pi times what squared? Is 8 the radius?
Yes.
Yes, it is. So pi times 8 squared, but we do have to divide by 2 because it's only half a circle. So pi times 8 squared divided by 2 is 100 something. $100.48 square inches. So that gives us a total of 484.48 square inches. Any questions? I might give you something like this. And ask you to find perimeter and area. Well, to find perimeter, we'll start right here. We've got 8 plus, what would be next? 16 plus 6 plus 3 plus 26 and plus 12. Plus, we've got to figure out that piece. To figure out that piece, it would help if we knew that this piece and this piece. So that's 26 plus 6 goes all the way across here. That's 32. So that makes this piece up here has to be what? 24. Good. Because 8 away from the 32 makes 24. If it's 32 feet across the bottom here, it has to be 32 feet across the top. So 26 plus 6 is 32. 24 plus 8 is 32. So that makes that piece 24. For this piece here, we do the same thing here. What's this size? 16 plus 3 is 19 feet. So if this is 12, this must be 7 feet. Now that's a right angle because horizontal dimensions are perpendicular to vertical dimensions. Let's find that hypotenuse there. That would be 7 squared plus 24 squared equals, well, we'll call it C. Why not? C squared. 7 squared is 49. 24 squared is 576. Those two add up to be 625. And we square up. 25 equals C. So this is 25 that goes in here. So if I add those all up, I got 8, 24, 30, 33, 59, 71, 96 is my perimeter. So a perimeter of 96 feet. Is that like familiar? Look correct? Any questions on the perimeter? Now that I've done all that work, or that work for finding the perimeter, the area of this piece is going to be pretty simple to find. To find its area, I'm going to do the area of the big rectangle. That big rectangle is 32 by 19. Which is what, 608 square feet? Does that look right? Okay, now I have to subtract out the missing pieces. I have this rectangle right here that is 3 by 6. 3 by 6 is 18 square feet. I'm going to be subtracting that. And I have this triangle up here that's 7 by 24. So that triangle is 7 by 24. What do I have to remember to do that? Divide by 2 because it's a triangle, yeah. Half of a rectangle. So 7 times 24 divided by 2 is 84, so I'm subtracting another 84 from that. So 608 minus 18 is 590, minus 84 is 506 square feet. Any questions on that one? So we got a perimeter of 96 and an area of 506 on that shape. Okay. We also had similar figures. I might have something like that, where I tell you that one of them is an enlargement of the other. See, if I tell you that this here is 28 inches and 30 inches, and that this one here is 45 inches, I'm going to call this here X, Y, Z, that one's going to be 12 and 18. How would we find X, Y, and Z? In fact, I'm going to give you a couple minutes to try that in your notes. See if you can remember how to do it. So we have to have a side where we know the length from both figures. What side is that? 45 and 30 go together. Now it does not matter whether I put 45 over 30 or 30 over 45. I'm going to do 45 over 30. What does matter is once we set up that ratio, the other ratio has to match up. So if I'm going to find X, is X going to go on top or bottom in my ratio here? It has to go on bottom because it's from the figure that the 30 is from. And what matches up to it from the other figure? 12. Good. And we will cross multiply. 30 times 12 is 360. Divided by 45 is 8. So X is 8 inches. So I'll stick with my same setup, 45 over 30. I'm looking for Y now. Y goes top or bottom? It's going to go on bottom. And what goes above it from the other figure? 18 corresponds to the Y. So we cross multiply and divide. 30 times 18 is 540. Divided by 45 is 12. So Y is 12 inches. And finally, we have 45 over 30. Where does Z go? That goes on top because it's from the same figure as the 45. And what goes below it from the other figure? 28. So now we will cross multiply. 45 times 28 divided by 30 is going to give us 42. So Z is 42 inches. Any questions?
Is it okay, like I just did 45 divided by 30.
You got 1.5. Yeah, you get your aspect ratio or your magnification ratio. Yeah, factor. That does work. Sometimes it's a little messy if it gets to be an ugly decimal, but it'll work. Let's talk about our bear hunter again, since I know you guys love that extra credit question, right? Our bear hunt, you look confused. Don't remember the bear hunter extra credit question?
Me?
No, Mandela.
Oh.
Our bear hunter goes from camp and walks 42 miles due south. Turns and walks east. Oh, what do I go there? Should be 144, yeah. 144 miles due east. If our hunter turns and walks directly back to camp, how far away from camp is our hunter? You can assume that this is on a flat piece of ground, not at the North Pole. So this is the right angle. How would we find that? We'll C squared, okay. So then what? What's 42 squared? 1764, yes. How about 144 squared? 20,736 is correct. If I add those, wait, 22,500 equals c squared. So my final step would be to square root it, would be 150, right? That's quite a walk.
Are you gonna second guess your math all day?
It's been one of those days, yeah.
It's Monday, it's okay.
I'm not really feeling well today either, so my mind's a little cloudy.
Allergies?
No, just not feeling well.
My allergies went awful all weekend.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I know a lot of people that have said they've had really bad allergies.
It's bad this year.
Yeah, some people have had them for like 4 weeks now.
I worked with a girl, she's had it for over a week, and her eyes, I mean, like, literally, she comes to work, her eyes are just red and water. She's like, I promise I'm okay. She's like, it's just allergies. I'm like, oh.
Wow. Yeah, that would be
Can't wear
miserable.
glasses or her contacts because it just bugs her eyes way too much.
Sure. I have about 3 or 4 days, usually in the spring, and then in the fall it's worse with the ragweed, where I'm just miserable. But I don't get them terrible bad, so I'm thankful for that.
I think it's the year.
Some years I get by pretty easily. Some years I'm just, I can go about 4 seconds without blowing my nose. Okay, well, our next step, we'll get started on it here before break, is something that looks like this. Volume and, for extra credit, surface area. But we'll start out with the volume. Of course, it would help if you had some dimensions on here. So I'll give you those dimensions. Remember, for volume, we defined volume to be the area of a base. Now, the base, when it's something like this, is just going to be the bottom. So it's that rectangle on bottom. So its area will be 15 inches by 10 inches, or 150 square inches. So then volume is that area of the base, 150 inches squared, times the height of 18 inches. Which is, what, 2,700 inches cubed? Does that look right? Perfect. Thank you. For surface area, now surface area would be extra credit on the test. It's not clearly marked as extra credit, so I'm telling you up front, surface area is extra credit. So you don't have to burn all your time on it if you're stuck. Because I think there was maybe only one surface area question in all the homework. So for surface area, for this here, there's going to be 3 pieces. The area of the base, which is 150 inches squared. The area of the second base, because there's the one on bottom, but there's also one on top that's identical to it. The third piece is a little more complex. It's something called the lateral area. Remember, the lateral area is found by taking these rectangular sides that connect the bases, cutting them and folding them out, like this. This is going to still be the 18 inches of height, from here, this will be 15 plus 10 plus 15 plus 10. In other words, this is the perimeter of the base. So that's the first thing we need to find is the perimeter of the base. 15 plus 10 plus 15 plus 10 is that 50 inches? So that makes the lateral area is the area of that, the perimeter of that base, 50 inches times the height of 18 inches, which is 900 inches squared. So the total surface area, we add up the 150 plus another 150 plus the 900 is 1,200 inches squared, or square inches. We're about 2 minutes early, but let's go ahead and take our break there. And away we go. So next, what would happen if I gave you a figure something like this? A cylinder with a radius, actually not a radius, we'll give you a diameter of 10 feet and a height of 10 feet. So for volume, once again, we need the area of a base. The base of this is going to be the circle. The area of a circle is going to be pi times radius squared. What's my radius going to be here? 5, half of the 10. Diameter is 10, radius will be 5. So pi times 5 squared is 78.5 square feet. That's the area of my base. So my volume will be the area of the base, 78.5 square feet, times my height of 10 feet, which is 785 cubic feet. Any questions? So for surface area, I have the area of the base, 78.5. Does that get counted once or twice? Twice, because there is one on top as well. This shape here is also base. Now I need to do my lateral area. To do my lateral area, I need to know the perimeter of the base. Now, since the base is a circle, the perimeter is just the circumference of that circle. How do I find circumference? Pi times diameter. So pi times the 10 feet, which is going to be 31.4 feet. So my lateral area with the perimeter of the base, 31.4 feet, times my height of 10 feet, which is going to give me 314 square feet. Oh, so what do we have there? 157, 471 square feet is my total surface area. So surface area of 471. What do you think? Good? Good. Let's take a pyramid with a base that's 16 feet on each side and a height of 15 feet. To find its volume, we start out with the area of the base. How do we find the area of its base? Well, it's 16 feet by 16 feet, correct? Otherwise known as 256 square feet. So then what? The volume, we're going to do the area of the base, 256 square feet, times what? My height to 15 feet. But since divide by 3 because it's a pyramid. Very good. So that gives us 1,280 cubic feet is my volume. For surface area, the area of my base is 256 square feet. Do I need to do that a second time? No, there's only one base here, just the bottom. There isn't one on top. It's a pyramid. So I only do the area of the base once. I do have to do my lateral area. To do my lateral area, I need two things. I need the perimeter of my base. How do I find the perimeter of this base? Yeah, 16 plus 16 plus 16 plus 16, right? Otherwise known as 64 feet. But now, since this is a pyramid, the height is no longer the length of the side. 15 would be straight down in the middle like that. I want to know what this slant is, the length of that slant. Now, this is a right angle there. This is 15 feet. What's this bottom piece here? 8 feet, half of my side. So that slant, 15 squared plus 8 squared is going to equal that slant squared. What's that? Yep, you add them up and then square root them. Yeah. So 15 squared is 225, 8 squared is 64. That adds to be 289 equals s squared. So yes, we square root that. So s is 17 feet. So we've got the slant. So the lateral area is the perimeter of the base, 64 feet, times my slant is 17 feet. But since those are triangles, we have to divide by 2. Very good. So 64 times 17 divided by 2, what does that come out to be? Like 544? 5. So 544 feet squared. That's after we divided by 2, right? Yep, that's after the 2. So 544 feet squared. Now we have to add those together. 256, 544, 800 square feet. Very good. So our surface area is 800 feet squared, 800 square feet. Any questions? By 3 here. Volume is divided by 3. Area is always divided by 2. What if we have a sphere? And let's say the radius of our sphere is 3 feet. Do you guys remember the formula for the volume of a sphere? 4/3, yep, 4/3. Pi times radius cubed. Very good. So 4/3 times pi times 3 cubed. So I'm punching out 4 divided by 3 times 3.14 times 3 to the power of 3. 113.04, that's going to be feet cubed because that's a volume. Any questions on that part? All right. That's when you just have to have the formula and you have to plug in the number and crank it out. The formula for surface area of a sphere. Four times pi times radius squared. Very good. So that's going to be 4 times pi times 3 squared. Or 113.04 square feet. The reason it works is because with the radius being 3, we're dividing by 3 there, but we don't divide by 3 here. Excuse me. So losing one of the powers of 3 and then not dividing by 3, it works out. The volume and surface area are the same number. Okay, that's enough of volumes and surface areas. Let's move on to statistics. This is the stuff we've covered just in the last couple of weeks, so we should be good on this, right? No? Okay. Let's start out talking about graphs. For example, let's say I want to look at scores on the last test. Well, I can't list out each individual score. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to list out ranges. So I might do 50 to 59, 60 to 69, 70 to 79, 80 to 89, and 90 to 99. And I'll give frequencies here 2, 5, 12, 21, and 8. Those are my frequencies. I'm going to use a fancy word here, histogram. If I ask you to create a histogram, what is a histogram basically? Histogram is pretty much histogram is pretty much just a bar graph. The difference is a bar graph has categorical data, has labels over here instead of ranges and numbers. If these are ranges over here, then it's called a histogram. So on bottom here, this will be 50 to 59, 60 to 69, 70 to 79, 80 to 89, 90 to 99. We're just going to pretend nobody got a perfect score, which nobody did, I don't think. So. Then we have to label up to at least 21 up here. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 21. So to make my bars, 50 to 59 is 2. Now remember, with a histogram, the bars touch each other. So the bars fill the whole space above the range. 60 to 69 is 5. 70 to 79 is 12. 80 to 89 is 21. 90 to 99 is 8. Like that. So that's a histogram. Let's say we want to make a circle graph. Or sometimes called a pie graph, pie chart. We're going to list favorite color here. Red, blue, green, let's say the frequencies are 14, 24, and 12. To make a circle graph or a pie chart, I need to know percentages. So to do that, I have to go first find the total. If I add those all up, I get a total of 50. So I'm going to find the percent over here. To find the percent, blank over 100 equals 14 out of 50. So 14 out of 50 equals blank over 100. That's 28%. 24 out of 50 equals blank over 100. So that one's 48%. 12 out of 50 equals blank out of 100. Cross multiply and divide, that one is 24%. So to graph this, I've got blue is 48%. That is just slightly less than half. Green is 24%. That's just slightly less than a quarter. And the rest is red. 28 is just slightly more than a quarter. So that's close enough for a circle graph. The key is this right here, finding the total and converting to percents. Does anybody have any questions on how I got these percents? I just put each frequency over the total. Okay. Next, we have time series data, or a line graph. We might have number of students taking pre-algebra each year. Let's say that in 2012, I had 42 students take pre-algebra. 2013, 51. 2014, let's say I had 29. And 2015, we'll say I had 48. So on a line graph, do the years or does time go on the bottom or on the side? Time always goes on the bottom. Very good. So we space them out evenly across the bottom. Up the side then is going to be my number of students. I have to go up to at least 51. So I'm going to go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So in 2012 it was 42, that's going to be right about there. 2013 was 51, and it'll be right about there. 2014 is 29, right about there. 2015 is 48, right about there. Now remember, I do not do anything before the first dot. I start at the first dot. Reconnect the dots. A lot of people want to do this. Don't do that. That line isn't significant for the data. And remember, this tells us very quickly, hey, we were increasing here and here, decreasing here, and we were increasing faster here than we did here, because it's a steeper line. So that is the line graph. Any questions on that one? The biggest thing there is remember, put time on bottom. Since we're dealing with graphing, how would I graph that?
Start at -4 and then go up to 3.
Perfect. Start at -4 because that's my y-intercept. Then from there I go up 2 over 3. There's my second point. There's my line. There it is. What do you think? Good stuff? Okay. Given a set of data, you should be able to calculate measures of center. Mean, median, and mode. Let me give you a set of numbers here. I am going to put them in order from smallest to largest just to make this easier on us. No. Good question, but no, I won't. So I have 8 numbers here. How do I find the mean? Add them up. So I got 13 plus 19 is 32. Plus 22 is 54. Plus 22 is 76. Plus 24 is 100. Plus another 24 is 124. Plus 31 is 155. Plus 40 is 195. And this is going to be over 8. So what does that come out to be? 24.375, I believe. Am I right? The biggest thing when you do this, hit equals before you divide by 8. 24.375. Good deal. How do we find the median? Well, the first step I've already done, put them in order. What's the second step? Find the location, right? And to do that, we do n, which is going to be what here? 8, here's 8 numbers, times 1/2 or 0.5, either way, is going to give me 4. So since that's a whole number, it tells me that it is 4th and 5th. Yeah, if it's a whole number, that means it's between that one and the next one. If it's a decimal, then we round up and it is the next number. So it's between 22 and 24. So we're going to add them together and divide by 2, which is 23. How about the mode? Well, both the 22 and the 24 occur twice here, don't they? If you listed them both, I would not count that wrong. But I would say this has no mode. If there isn't just one distinct mode, then there is none. That happens on the test, though. Don't leave it blank. Write in no mode. I have students every year that, because I just generate a random set of numbers for that, so I don't know what the mean, median, and mode are until I go to do the answer key. So if it does do that where there's 2 or 3 numbers that all appear twice and that's it, don't just leave it blank. Actually write in no mode if there's no mode. Or sometimes there might not be any numbers that are repeated at all. Now for mean, median, and mode, I might give you a set of 20 to 30 numbers to work with. For standard deviation, I will not give you that big of a set. I'll only give you maybe 5 or 6 numbers to work with, because I know that's a long process. So let's say I'm going to give you this set of numbers to deal with. First of all, if I asked you to find the range, how would I find the range? What's the largest number? 28 minus 18 will be the smallest number. It gives us a range of 10. For standard deviation, there is a 6-step process. What is step 1? Find the mean. So 18 plus 21 is 39. Plus 28 is 67. Plus 25 is 92. Plus 23 is 115, I believe. Divided by 5 is 23. Does that look correct? Yep. Cool. Step 2 is to subtract the mean from each number. So I have my 18, 21, 28, 25, and 23. And I am going to subtract my mean of 23 from each. What is 18 minus 23? Negative 5. 21 minus 23. Negative 2. 28 minus 23. 5. 25 minus 23. 2. 23 minus 23. 0. What is step 3? Square it. We're going to square those deviations. So negative 5 squared is 25. Make sure you get positive results here. Remember, when you square a negative, if you don't enter it in your calculator right, it might try to tell you that's negative 5. Negative 2 squared, 4. 5 squared, 25, and 2 squared, 4. 0 squared, 0. So 25 plus 4 plus 25 plus 4 is 58, which is step 4. Find the sum. 58. Step 5. Okay, so n equals 5. So 5 minus 1 is 4, right? We divide by 4. It's 14.5. That number right there would be called what? The variance. Very good. There's still one more step to get to the standard deviation, and that is square root the variance. Square root of 14.5, 3.81. That is our standard deviation. Any questions? I would never make you do more than one. Unless you do something to really anger me between now and Wednesday. Okay. Yeah, it's not hard, it is just long. But I mean, I've had professors that give you like a set of 25 numbers until you do the standard deviation by hand. And that was just mean. Yeah, and they stayed in their office all day, so you couldn't even wait for them in the parking lot. Yeah. Oh, the full dimensional analysis.
Yes, that's what it's called. There you go.
What?
We at one point he gave us 50 of them.
Oh my, that's a little extreme.
I was like, I mean, we had a week to do it, but I was like,
yeah. That's just like balancing equations in chemistry is the same way. It's not hard to do. It's just you gotta, especially if you have some complex compounds in there with any sort of a. Well, sure. Yeah, especially you get into any sort of your multi-element ions in your compounds, it can be really weird. Okay, so the last thing we're going to review. Let's say that I tell you on the last test the mean score was 82. The standard deviation of 6. Remember, this is talking about a bell curve. And the center of the bell curve is what? The mean, right? The 82. You had the right idea. As I go to the left, I take 3 steps, and each step is 6. So it's 82 minus 6 is 76. Minus another 6 would be 70, and minus another 6, 64. As I go to the right, I take 3 steps, and each step is 6. Standard deviation. So 82 plus 6 is 88, plus another 6, 94, plus another 6 is 100. These numbers on bottom here are always determined by the standard deviation and the mean. Of course, the mean is in the middle. Then the standard deviation tells us how far we step down and then step up going to the right. Yes? Yep, when they talk about grading on a curve, that's what they're talking about. If you're talking about grading on a curve, they usually say that the mean score should be the borderline between B's and C's. So then there are percents in here. And your book uses the exact percents, if I remember right. So this is like 34.13. I better look to make sure I got the right ones. I don't want to give you the wrong ones. We'll give you the approximate. I'll accept either of the tests, whether you use the ones out of the book. The ones I'm used to using are the ones that are used in industry because they're easier to remember. Like I believe the book, this percent here is 34.13. Well, in industry, they usually just use 34% for those two. And then this next one, industry just uses 13.5. I believe they use something like 13.52 or something like that. It's just a little bit different. This is 13.5 in each of these. This is 2.35 here and 0.15%. So if I ask you, what percent of scores would you expect to be between 70 and 94? Well, here is 70. Here's 94. If I add up those percents, it should add up to be about 95%. What percent of scores would you expect to be between 76 and 88? Well, here's 76, here's 88. If I add those up, I get 68%. If I asked you what percentage of scores would I expect to be less than 76, well, here's 76. I add up those, I get 16%. What percentage of scores do I expect to be more than 94? Well, here's 94. Greater would be that way, so I add those up. That's 2.5%. Make sense? I will process this recording and post it out there as soon as I can. If you understand everything on this recording, the test will go well on Wednesday. And I will warn you, I hid like 2 or 3 problems in there that I did the exact numbers that are on the test.